Cats and humans share a very old story. This story began thousands upon thousands of years ago. It started long before people wrote down their histories. We find clues in ancient bones and early art. These clues tell us about a connection that grew slowly over a great deal of time. People have always been very curious about cats. Cats are such graceful and often mysterious creatures to observe. They move with a silence that is quite remarkable, watching everything around them with intense focus. Their eyes appear to hold ancient secrets, reflecting a wildness that still lingers within them. This unique bond, forged in the distant past, continues to fascinate us even today in our modern world. The journey of the cat from a wild hunter to a purring companion is a long one. It is a tale filled with interesting turns and surprising developments. Imagine a world where all cats were completely wild. They hunted alone in forests and deserts. They were skilled predators relying on their instincts for survival. Humans, too, were living very different lives back then. They were hunters and gatherers or early farmers. The idea of a cat sleeping by the fire was not yet born. This transformation did not happen quickly. It was a gradual process, shaped by changing environments and the needs of both species, slowly drawing them closer together. Our fascination with cats is not a new thing. It stretches back into the mists of early human civilization. These creatures, with their independent spirits, somehow found a place alongside us. They did not offer the same kind of utility as a dog or a cow initially. Dogs could help hunt or guard. Cows provided milk and meat. Cats offered something different, perhaps more subtle. They offered quiet companionship and an elegant presence. They also brought a practical skill to the table eventually. The skill would become very important as humans started to store food, attracting unwelcome guests into their settlements. The story of cats and humans is a story of mutual benefit, at least eventually. It is a story of adaptation and change. Wild felines, driven by their instincts, cautiously approached human settlements. Humans in turn began to see the value these small predators could bring. This was not a planned domestication like with some other animals. It was more of an accidental partnership that blossomed over many centuries. The cat, in many ways, chose us as much as we chose it. This choice laid the foundation for one of the most widespread and beloved animal companions on the entire planet, a true global phenomenon. The wild ancestors of our house cats were solitary hunters. They roamed vast territories in Africa and the Middle East. The African wildcat is widely believed to be the primary progenitor. These cats were perfectly adapted to their environments. They were shy, elusive creatures, avoiding humans whenever possible. They hunted small rodents, birds, and reptiles. Their lives were a constant cycle of searching for food and staying safe. Human settlements, in their early days, were not an obvious attraction, yet something began to change this dynamic, drawing these cautious hunters closer to the world of people, step by wary step. As humans began to practice agriculture, things started to shift. People started to grow crops and store grains. These stores of food were like a magnet for mice and rats. Suddenly, human settlements became rich hunting grounds for small predators. Wildcats, always opportunistic, noticed this new abundance of prey. They started to venture closer to villages and farms. It was a risky move for a wild animal, but the reward of an easy meal was a powerful temptation. Humans likely tolerated these cats at first. They were not pets, but they were not perceived as major threats either. This new arrangement offered benefits to both sides. The cats got a reliable source of food in the form of rodents. The humans got a natural form of pest control. Fewer rats and mice meant more grain saved. This was a significant advantage for early agricultural societies. It helped protect their precious harvests from being devoured. The cats were essentially doing a job, even if no one had officially hired them. This practical benefit was likely the first step towards a closer relationship. The wildcats were not yet tame, but they were becoming a familiar sight around human dwellings, lurking in the shadows. The process was slow and entirely natural. There was no deliberate effort by humans to tame these wildcats initially. Instead, the cats that were less fearful of humans likely fared better. They had easier access to the rodents around on the settlements. Over many generations, this could have favored cats with slightly bolder or more tolerant temperaments. They were not being bred by humans. They were, in essence, domesticating themselves by adapting to this new ecological niche. This self-domestication is a key part of the cat's unique story. They walked into our lives largely on their own terms, driven by the promise of an easier meal. Ancient Egypt played a crucial role in the cat's journey towards full domestication. While cats were living near humans elsewhere, Egypt took this relationship to a new level. Around 4,000 years ago, cats became deeply woven into Egyptian society. They were not just tolerated for their hunting skills. They were actively welcomed into homes and even revered. Egyptian art from this period is filled with images of cats. We see them depicted in paintings on tomb walls. They are shown sitting under chairs playing with humans and even accompanying their owners on hunting trips in the marshes. The Egyptians admired cats for many qualities. They saw their grace, their protectiveness of their kittens, and their skill as hunters. These traits were highly valued. Cats protected grain stores from rodents, a vital service in an agricultural society. They also killed snakes and scorpions, making homes safer. This practical importance soon grew into something more profound. Cats began to be associated with deities. The goddess Bastet, often depicted with the head of a cat or as a cat itself, was a very popular deity. She represented protection, fertility, and motherhood, all qualities seen in domestic cats. The reverence for cats in Egypt was extraordinary. Killing a cat, even accidentally, was a serious crime, sometimes punishable by death. When a household cat died, the family would mourn. They would often shave their eyebrows as a sign of grief. The deceased cat would be mummified with the same care given to humans. Thousands upon thousands of mummified cats have been discovered by archaeologists in special cemeteries. This shows the deep respect and affection the Egyptians had for these animals. They were not just pets, they were considered sacred members of the community, deserving of a proper afterlife. This close association with humans in Egypt greatly accelerated the domestication process. Cats living in Egyptian homes were more likely to be docile and friendly. These traits would have been favored, leading to cats that were increasingly comfortable around people. The Egyptians may have selectively encouraged breeding among calmer cats. They also protected cats, ensuring their survival and spread. It was in the warm embrace of Egyptian civilization that the wildcat truly began its transformation. It became the ancestor of the purring companion we know and love today, a creature both divine and domestic. The domesticated cats of Egypt did not stay confined to the Nile Valley forever. As Egyptian influence spread, so did their beloved feline companions. Traders and sailors from other Mediterranean cultures, like the Phoenicians, Greeks, and Romans, likely encountered these useful and charming animals. They recognized the cat's value in controlling rodent populations, especially on ships. Ships carrying grain and other goods were plagued by rats. A few cats on board could protect the cargo during long sea voyages. This made cats indispensable members of the crew on many ancient vessels. These seafaring cats became global ambassadors. Roman ships, in particular, carried cats to all corners of their vast empire. From the British Isles to the far reaches of the Near East, cats disembarked and established new populations. They were still valued primarily for their mousing abilities. They protected food supplies in Roman granaries, military camps, and towns. As they spread, they likely interbred with local wildcat populations in some areas. However, the core traits of the domesticated cat honed in Egypt persisted. Their adaptability allowed them to thrive in diverse climates and environments across Europe and beyond. During the Middle Ages in Europe, the cat's status experienced some unfortunate fluctuations. While still useful for pest control, cats sometimes became associated with paganism and witchcraft. This led to periods of persecution in some regions. However, their practical benefits were too significant to ignore completely. Despite these challenges, cats continued to live alongside humans, quietly doing their job. Their resilience saw them through these darker times. Eventually, attitudes shifted again, and their role as companions began to be more widely appreciated, slowly moving beyond mere utility. Today, cats are one of the most popular pets worldwide. From the sacred animals of ancient Egypt to the cherished companions in modern homes, their journey has been remarkable. They have conquered the globe not through force, but through their unique blend of independence and affection. They retain a touch of their wild ancestry, which only adds to their allure. The cat that curls up on a warm lap still carries the legacy of desert hunters and revered deities. This long and fascinating history has shaped the creature that now shares our lives, offering quiet company and a constant, purring reminder of an ancient, enduring bond. Please like, share, and subscribe.